All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. Paul McClain here. And this is the first time we've got a special guest on the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast Classroom Edition. And I hope this has served you well every single week, every month. You know, I take, I guess, pride in the fact that I really want to just provide so much value to you, because I know how much value has been brought to me from podcasts like this. And so once a month, we want to kind of just get into the blocking and tackling of what we do, right? We want to talk about sales in the most practical way. And what you've realized is this: Family First Life has adapted and evolved very quickly into telesales, into virtual sales. And I remember talking to somebody about this a while back. They said, you know, there's the companies that do virtual sales and telesales. Family First Life, we had created the biggest IMO in the entire nation, which is made up of a lot of you guys out there writing than every company put together times like 4. And so we'd already taken over when it came to volume and amount of families protected, which was a big part of our mission, is just to serve more people. And then somebody said, but you know, virtual sales, telesales, like you guys don't do a whole lot of that. Like, so I'm going to go work at this company. And I remember Sean making this adjustment, saying, man, we're going to be great at all areas of serving clients. And in a virtual sales and telesales, it, you know, encompasses serving people. We're going to be great. And I told that agent, I said, man, listen, if we're so big already, and we have so many great minds and people that are seeing success, right? There's such a big mastermind group of people talking to each other, sharing ideas, capitalizing on things. There's probably people already doing telesales. We just don't talk a lot about it because it's not our bread and butter. And sure enough, and this is what I said, it's almost like if you ever watch Shark Tank and they come out with a new product, and one of the investors, their biggest question is like, well, man, is it patented? And why can't just a big box retailer take that over, crank out distribution, and just wipe you away? And that's a great question. And if they don't have an answer, that typically is what happens. And that's what Family First Life is. We're like the big box retailer when it comes to like getting systems and programs and training and support, and just the high quality people that are really out there wanting to work hard, have the right attitudes, bless people, serve people. And so we put this in place, and now we got FFL virtual sales. Okay. And it has been unbelievable. And we've seen phenomenal growth through this. You know, we've now taken over with telesales and virtual sales. And so I took a step back, guys, and I thought, like, I wonder if this might be something that in 2022 takes your business from here to here and absolutely just explode your profitability, explode your income, if you were to add some virtual sales and telesales to what you're doing. And then I thought, who can I have on today that would best serve you and helping you go out there and know what to do and how to do it? And then I sat back and thought, well, who's that going to be? And then Sean Mike gets on a call, and he says, hey, let me tell you about Zach Moreno. And I said, listen, dude, I've been working for Family First Life since day one. We got a big group. I don't even know if I believe that. There's no way anybody else in other companies believe that. And sure enough, man, like the amount of volume of people he's helping, and Zach's a worker. So if you're like, well, how does he do it? First of all, he works real hard. But today, guys, we're going to unpack this. We're going to talk about exactly what he does, how he does it. And so if you could please, you know, lean in. And Zach Moreno, I want to welcome you to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. Thank you for joining, my friend.
Of course, man. Of course. I'm happy to be on.
Well, it's good to have you on, man. If you can, first, I want to start here because I know Family First Life, it introduced this concept and us moving into this a little while ago. Were you like one of those early adapters? Like, you know, like the guy that when the iPhone comes out, he's got a tent set up outside of Apple and he's there for 3 days because he wants to be the first one. Were you like quick to say, hey, this is great, I'm going to jump on it? Or like, how did you kind of get, you know, adapted to
kind of like into it? Yeah. So it was actually something that I started doing. It was actually earlier before it was really released as like something that we're doing. I started doing it because some of my clients that I actually had they were far away, and it was a small county, not a lot of leads come in. I'm like, I don't think I really want to make a trip for 1 lead a month, you know? And I was like, well, let's try this. Like, I know I've got the email signature. What can I do? I mean, it can't be any different. So I I actually called them up and was like, hey, like, do you mind? Let's just go ahead and do this over Zoom, actually. So you know what Zoom is, right? And they're like, yeah, we know what Zoom is. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and get you this link, jump on, and we went for it. And it was actually my first time ever doing that over Zoom. So I was like, wow, this actually works. And that business is still on the books as of today. So, I mean, it's not, for a second, I thought, well, retention might be an issue, but dude, I think it's actually very, very similar. As long as you're making sure that, people are showing up to the meeting, and those little things. So.
Okay. So as far as the results you've got, what have you seen? Like, what do you issue paying a week through? You're doing mainly telesales, right?
Yeah, so I'm doing virtual, so I do like hybrid, right? So I'm doing some in-home, and honestly, Paul, that's just because I don't really like sitting, down all day in an office and behind a computer. Like I don't really love that. So I like to be in front of people. I like, getting the dinner from the family that just loves that you were able to help them out. Like I like that, right? That's what I've been used to. But I will say virtual is something or the hybrid approach, which is basically telesales and Zoom if they want to see me and I want to see them. But a lot of it is telesales. Now, the other week, 2 weeks ago, Sean was talking about, I actually ended off the week writing, and then I had an annuity at that last cell that I set up for the following day, and I closed that. That was basically put me to and that was all from that same week's work. So
in a week, telesales, virtual sales.
Yep.
What have you seen, Zach, is the best way for somebody? Because I know we're going to cover a lot of great ground today and kind of given a good blueprint roadmap for somebody to plug into this and see success. But what's another way where they can develop the confidence, the understanding, the knowing of how to do that? Like, is the FFL virtual sales, has that been helpful for you? Have you gone through that? Did you see the scripts, all that kind of stuff? Like, how does somebody really kind of get into this?
I did. I do really like FFL virtual sales. I think that's a great website, great system. It's kind of one of those things. Every single one of us has learned something from someone and somewhere, right? I mean, for any of us to come in and be like, we created the wheel. No, we didn't. Like, we definitely used something from something, right? Now, what I mean by that is I would never want someone to come in and be like, I just want to learn from like 100%. I want to just copy what you're doing. Well, dude, my puzzle was created from multiple puzzle pieces. And then of course I've got my own stuff that I do and I've learned on my own, but it's good to have a base, and then to work from that base, it makes it easier, right? So FFL virtual sales is a good one. Now for myself, I didn't really change a lot of what I was doing. I found, again, I started this kind of before the whole virtual thing kind of became a thing. And what I noticed is it really is not that different. And I think sometimes we can overcomplicate things and like think, oh no, it's got to be this certain way. It's got to be perfectly done this way, with this type of meeting, with this type, you know what I mean? And I found that it's really not that much different. There's a couple adjustments that are important, but I think a good place to start for any new agent, of course, would be going to FFL virtual sales, or if you're, with FFL Awakening, I like to send people to FFL virtual sales, and then of course the boot camp and different things that we've got in place. So I definitely would recommend that.
Yeah, and one thing I would say, Zach, that I think is, for one, you exemplify this, and I just know that the producers that reach these new levels and heights, they're quick to adapt and evolve. Right. You don't just sit there and think like, well, what I've been doing is working so well, but can it work better? I wonder if you added something to it, if it takes it to the next level. And it was the same thing as I got into the business and we started to talk about annuities and things like that. I didn't stop doing what was working. I didn't overcomplicate my in-home life insurance sales process. I just realized that there's some additional questions that I could ask, some word tracks that I could learn, a couple of scripts that I could say that allow me to uncover money, get back in. And there's many weeks where if it wasn't for that annuity sale that I picked up for $250,000, man, I needed it more than anything else at that point in time, because at that prior company, low comp, a couple of chart, like I was like, man, I needed that. And all of a sudden, boom, hits my account.
Puts you on your feet.
And if I didn't adapt and say, I just say, well, I'm good with this, but always looking at what you can add to what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I think that's so important to have that open mind.
It's that student mentality.
Yeah, and continuously educating yourself. You know, I think when you look at your schedule, like there's personal growth, whether that's reading, praying, developing, but there's also business growth where that's taking a look at our craft in the areas that produce income and saying, how good am I at this? And then how can I get better? So Zach, talk about, like, you had helped a couple people on your team that were kind of getting into this. And like anything, when you step into something for the first time, you're typically going to be faced with more adversity, growing pains, right? Until you kind of step into and understanding it your own through experience. Talk about some of the success stories that you've got with people you've helped. And then I want to get into the bullet points of what you articulate, go through to really give some handles to this topic today, where when somebody hops off, man, today, I wonder if you can execute and implement some of this stuff, and all of a sudden next week you start to see some fruits from it. So talk about that, and let's get into those points.
Yeah, man. So a lot of agents obviously have been joining our group, and we're really just trying to grow, right? And I think, like you said, the student mentality is big, and I teach that to every agent that comes in. Like, I don't care what you come from. I don't care if you come from this industry. I don't care if you come from, being the top dog at a solar sales business. I don't care what it is. What we have to do is we got to come in and be a sponge. We got to forget everything we think we know. And we're just going to pretend like we're brand new at the trait. You've never done sales before, because this is different, and when I came into this business, I remember thinking, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm used to. I'm doing really good at sales in this other industry. Let's just do the same thing. And, it's totally different. I was hyping up the product versus tying emotion, and it doesn't work the same, right? So I wasn't getting the same results. So a lot of the agents that we've actually got coming in, which has been a lot of agents, but I can tell you of a couple stories that I think really appealed to me actually within the last couple of weeks. One being, of course, there was actually, I'll tell you this one first. Younger dude, no college degree. He actually took 5 times to pass his test. So if you guys are struggling with taking your test out there and you're watching this, he took 5 times to pass it. And I honestly was debating, like, dude, are you being serious about this? Like, do you really want this? What's going on? Like, why are you failing it so many times? But then I thought to myself, I'm like, dude, I wasn't that much better. I failed it 3 times. I passed on the 4th. So it's like, I can't judge someone based on that. Right now, when he came in, I was like, okay, here's what it's going to look like. Right. I had a phone call with him, and he laughs actually today, because he's like, dude, I didn't even know who you were, but it felt like you almost knew who I was. You were reading into things, but then also it felt like some of the stuff was like a little harsh. And I was like, yeah, dude, but I just want you to win. Like, I don't want you to come in and have bad habits that start right off the bat. Right. And I had this 30-minute phone call. And after that, he joins. He goes to, by the way, talk about going to a convention. He went. He went the night of the Phoenix event. He left at 9 p.m. and didn't get there till 6 a.m. in the morning, just in time for the convention. So I knew he was serious, right? And we got together. We had an Airbnb. We all kind of got to get to learn a little bit more about each other. And what I found, I called it out. I'm like, this guy's going to be the hype man. Like, this guy right here, I know I could see it in him. And maybe he didn't even see it yet, but he felt it, right? He felt that I believed in him. And we kind of took it into the next week. He tried applying everything he learned. And there were some key aspects that he almost sold, like, I think the first week, but there was certain things that he just didn't quite have down. And we went over the things, and it seemed to come down to a few things, which we'll go over here in a second. But we dialed it in. We went through these things over and over, repeat. And the thing that Wyatt, to say a name, Wyatt, he actually is very good at calling me when he needs me, right? So like, he would blow me up anytime he needed something. And as long as he was busy, as long as he was doing actual activity, I'd pick up the phone and I'd help him, right? And that first week, or second week, we changed all these things, we made all these tweaks, and all of a sudden he closes 8 for 8 appointments, closed all 8, and wrote So, I mean, that to me is incredible. And now the guy's recruiting, all these guys are coming in, following him. And now he's got something to show for it and people looking up to him. So that's one of many. Obviously, there's been other people, 50s, 60s, you name it, like different age categories that have come in from maybe being in this industry or not, and come in, and we've been able to kind of make some key adjustments that I see being a very common theme. And now they're all right. And, no problem. So I think that's really important. And we'll of course dive into some of that.
Awesome, man. Well, let's give some structure to the telesales, virtual sales process. So whether that's some of these bullet points, Zach, or if you want to kind of go into like phone script, what you say, what's the most common stuff they say. I really want to unpack this thing, man, where we have 2020 vision, so to speak, looking at what this looks like for somebody stepping into it. And really the reality is this, Zach. I mean, there's really not many more people, if anybody, that somebody's stepping in saying, man, I want to add this to what I'm doing. Or maybe somebody that says, because not everybody's the same. I'm like you. I like meeting with people face to face. I just love it. I mean, I miss it when I had a client the other day that was doing some work on the building. And he's like, man, I don't have life insurance. Would you mind helping me? And I helped him out. And dude, I was like, dude, I miss this. Like, I was like more invigorated by helping him because it just felt good. Right. And it's just, it was great to do that. But there's some people that, man, they just want to, sell over the phone. And some people, like I was talking to Samantha and Cass, and like, man, they got a bunch of kids. And so she's able to like cut out and go make while her kids are watching like Peppa Pig. I'm like, dude, how unbelievable is that? And not have to worry about child protective services showing up because you just decided to leave your kids on the couch watching Peppa Pig at the age of 4 and go run appointments on the street. You can't do that, but you can go to the next room, right, and help a client. So, and
dude, some agents are just wanting to travel, and I'm seeing these people going to places like Puerto Vallarta and these places that they've never been, and writing. Also being in a place that they've never been. I think that's also a really cool thing. And it just really depends on what you want to do and what you want to do with this business. You know what I mean?
I agree,
now,
man.
I do want to unpack some things that I've got some bullet points that I just know are the key things to actually making an agent successful. Now, when I was new, and I do want to tell you, when I was new to this business, again, I came from other industries. I came from cable sales, solar sales. And I thought that I was just going to, hands down, this is going to be easy, right? And it is easier for one part that they're already filling it out. But the part that I didn't understand when I was new was understanding that the mindset going into it is crucial. The other thing is that it's an emotional sell, not a hype sell, right? And I didn't quite understand that when I first started. Now, when I came into it, obviously, we've been able to make adjustments. I was able to switch these things up. And then last year hit HOF within the first few months. And this year, of course, doing the same thing, trying to get other people to actually hit HOF, not just myself. That's really the goal, right? Now, the biggest thing that I found are some key crucial points that I think are really important when it comes to getting an agent actually where they need to be. Now, every agent, and I can tell you this, Paul, and I'm sure, Paul, you probably get the same thing. Agents come to me all the time and say, hey, what are you saying? I just want to say what you're saying. I want to copy what you're saying. That's not exactly it, because, for example, Wyatt did that the first week and it didn't quite work as well. But the second week, there was some certain things that we adjusted that were able to get him to the point where he needed to be, right? Now, the first one, I think, Paul, you talk about it probably quite a bit, and I'm going to make it brief because you probably talk about it a lot, but mindset, right? I think that mindset is actually where this business begins. And are you okay with me talking about mindset real fast?
Dude, absolutely, man.
Love it. Okay. So with mindset, when I talk to an agent, I always try and find the why. Right now, everyone says, find a why, right? Now, the why really doesn't have to be that complicated. For me, I don't have kids. A lot of people, kids is an easy one, right? But I want something that if everything's against you, you'll be able to push through it just because of this why. That's all it is, right? So for me, I can tell you mine's my mom. Like, I just want to give back to my mom. She's an amazing woman, and I want to provide for her and the family, right? I just want to be a giver back to all the energy that went into basically raising me, right? The other thing is I've learned that I love to share success with others. And my biggest thing is, I mean, that's kind of explains the awakening thing, is I just want to awaken people to the fact that they don't need to go through the social norm to make money these days. Like, you don't have to go to college if you don't want to. I get it for the things you want to do, but if you're just going to just to go, you don't have to, right? You can have success through other things. Now, that's my why. I just want to show people that. My other thing is you got to know your goals. And I think something that a lot of agents don't really know is, what are my goals? What am I looking to do? When an agent first starts out, I'm just like, hey, let's replace your income and then work from there, right? But I do want to plan a vision that, hey, you're going to be writing within the next month. We got to get you to believe it, right? And I set those goals, and I also have data to back it up, right? The other thing is visualizing these goals. And that's the last thing I want to really briefly touch on with mindset, is I visualize these goals. I don't know about you, Paul. I don't know if you're big into visualization and stuff like that. But for me, every day and every time I start my week, I am visualizing exactly what I want to achieve, whatever that goal is, because there's been science that says if you can see it in your mind or you can do it in the world, it's all the same exact thing. Your mind doesn't know any different, right? If you're running a mile in real life or running a mile in your brain, it's your brain doesn't know the difference. So why not act it out in your brain first and then go throughout your week with confidence, right? So that's a big one for me. Okay. Now,
hey, Zach, real quick, dude, let me just say something to that, because that's a big part of like taking risk and moving to something that's uncomfortable that you've not yet done is either you've got fear or you've got faith. And a lot of times the fear is just derived from this emotion that we feel because it's a wrong projection of something that hasn't happened. It's like the other night, man, my wife, woke me up and she's like, "You're having a nightmare." And she's like, "It was hilarious because you sound like an infant." I was like, "What are you talking about? I sound like an infant?" She's like, "You were crying like, I was like, "Don't tell anybody that." Now I'm telling everybody that. But I didn't know the difference. Like, my body didn't know that what I was experiencing wasn't a real thing.
Right.
I went through the same emotions. My body expressed the same behavior as if it was happening, and it wasn't happening. And so to that point, it's so crucial. So as you step into something new, if you're just unintentional, you're going to be moved by your subconscious, which is the feeling of your body. But if you're conscious and you visualize something that's not yet happened, like visualize yourself being excellent, being great at virtual sales, being phenomenal at it, right? Connecting with clients, talking to clients, all these different things, no different than when you step into a client's house, but seeing in your mind the behavior that you want to have happen at the best level. Well, now that builds faith up. Now you've got faith that, hey, now I'm just going through the emotions of what's already to come because I've fixated and thought in my mind at such a high level. And I think, Zach, that's so applicable really to everything. But I think we can lose it, how important it is in the new thing. And if this is a new thing for you, it's easy to get caught up in our emotions and our feelings because it's subconscious, opposed to going back to whatever you used to do prior to joining FFL. And you'll probably uncover the fact that it was really uncomfortable. If you moved from emotions, you wouldn't have done the things that you did necessary, but you had to just get out of that, have a better vantage point, see what you wanted to see happen, and then moved by that. And I think that's essential, man. So
especially if we're operating 80% of our day through our subconscious, you know what I mean? It's like our subconscious better agree with us, or if it doesn't, how can you achieve what you're looking to achieve? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I totally agree with you there. Now, leads. I wanted to ask you, leads is something that I feel like a lot of agents struggle with understanding. I get that question all the time. In fact, every time I post like, "Hey, I wrote this much. What leads did you buy? What leads did you buy?" Like, that's something that's common. Do you want me to touch on that real fast?
Yeah, let's talk about pertinent to virtual sales, telesales. What lead types are you working for tele? What leads are you working for Zoom? Or are they the same? But yeah, I want to unpack. I want to really kind of say, hey, you're right. Dang week, man, on virtual telesales. Like, how? Like, how'd you do it?
Right.
What did it look like? Leads, phone, what did that look like?
Love it. Okay. So obviously mindset first. Now, second, leads, right? Now, when I'm looking at leads, I always correlate it to what my goals are. So it's not random, right? So I basically put together a budget, And everyone asks, how much should I spend? Well, it really depends on what kind of goal you're looking to achieve. Now, for me, I spend about $1,500 to $2,000 a week. Now, to a lot of people, I tell a new agent, and they're like, whoa, that's a lot of money, right? But to you, your perspective, because of what you've been making, that's a lot of money. But then when you hear like, oh, he made it's like, oh, that's no longer a big deal anymore. You see what I'm saying? So budget first. Now, second is strategy. Now, my strategy with leads is I really just want to make sure that I have a strategy of, what am I doing that week? Am I wanting to do hybrid? Am I wanting to do, in-home? Am I wanting to mix it all, whatever it is, right? Or maybe I just have to do telesales. So I'm going to put together a strategy week by week. What am I looking to do, right? Now, what lead types? Paul, you obviously asked, what am I using for each thing? It's very simple, right? And I tell the same thing to every agent. Now, for Zoom, when I'm running Zoom appointments, they're actually using mortgage protection and final expense mailers. Now, I don't care if it's 1 month, 2 month, 3 month out of the CRM. I don't care if it's old final expense mailers. I don't care if it's new. It all works. The thing that I hear all the time from people is like, well, he must be in a better area. He must be, the area must have more money. That's why he sells so much per premium, right? These are things that I hear, but really, I thought the same way when I was new. But then I realized, like, honestly, if you want a real honest answer, come try and sell in Utah. The leads, the volume that we have, it's not as much as other states, right? So be happy that you're in a state like that. So that's why Zoom is actually a really important thing to understand from here, right? Now, something that Zoom I've been using, why I like mortgage protection and final expense mailers is because you have something to show them. Right? I want them to see their handwriting. That way I can share my screen and they can see exactly what it is and why I called them and set this appointment. You see what I'm saying? Now, my other source that I'm using, which this would be mainly for telesales, is actually instant internet life leads. We all hear it, right? Instants are great. They're absolutely great for telesales. And you can actually create your own live transfer from them too, and actually spend less than going through a live transfer company. Now, that's one option, right? But for telesales, I use instant internet life leads. If there's 1 month or new internet, I'll grab those too. And then my other source is actually through AWL, which are live transfer lead company. Obviously, they transfer me leads that are live from a client that just called in looking for life insurance, and they transfer that call to me and I take it from there, right? So that's really a very simple, and I just divide it up. Right. So if my strategy for the week was, hey, I want to be doing more telesales, then I'm going to, of course, put more of that budget into the telesale lead types that I like to use for telesales, which is going to be the internet leads because they're cheap. Right. And selling over the phone, you do have to plan on not everyone is going to close. Right. It's a little bit harder to close every single person because you're not in front of them. It's not quite the same, but we can make it as close to the same as possible. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, man. I love it.
Awesome, man. So that's really the leads. Now, going into dialing, because obviously, we get our leads, we understand what leads we got, but dialing is the next step. Now, I do want to mention something that I think is really important. And when I was new, I used it quite a bit, but I don't know if you guys have, Zoom dial sessions like that you do as a team. If you have those and you're an agent watching this, you need to be involved in those. You've got to have accountability. Right? If you don't have that, then I'm sure you can find a group that does. But the other thing is you got to find an accountability partner. You can't just join the Zoom and just kind of watch people, right? It's easy to kind of just watch and observe and not take action. So one thing I want to say is accountability partners are big. So if you find, Joe, who just got started, he's at the same step as you. It's like, hey, Joe, let's make this fun today. Like, then it's not this mundane act, right? It's like, Joe, let's make this fun today. If I, outbeat you with appointments and I set more than you, which our minimum we have to hit is 15 appointments, anything past that, that's what we're going to go off of. If I overbook you, then, you owe me dinner, right? Or vice versa. Like making it fun, make it fun, gift card, whatever, right? Just make this business be something that, because when you're a brand new agent, dude, sometimes you're going to get hung up on, you're going to get no's. That's normal. It's okay. Right. In fact, I tell people, because I came from cable sales, I was told to actually, and this is just what I had to do, get 250 no's a day. So if you guys are taking no personally, that's a problem. So when you're a new agent, you got to stop that, right? So by making it fun, sometimes it eliminates that whole pressure of a no, right? It's like, oh, whatever, I got to keep moving because I got to beat Joe. You see what I'm saying? But one thing that I can say with that is, guys, you can't take no personally. Like for me, I got so used to the word no that it doesn't matter. Like I just keep moving, right? In fact, with an agent that calls me and says, hey, I called this many people, I got 70 no's, right? I don't know, just random numbers, 70 no's, for example. Well, John, I'm so glad that you got 70 no's. Like you're telling me a good thing because that means you're working, right? And that means you're that much closer to more yeses, right? For me, it's just get through the activity and it will solve itself. But if you're not getting any no's, then that probably means you're not working, because I even get no's to this day. It's not like I'm perfect, right? So that's something I want to bring up. Now, the next thing is tracking your numbers. For a new agent, you've got to track. Go ahead.
I want to just highlight something really fast with that, because what you're saying, man, is such a big deal. And I just hope that somebody's stepping back and saying, like, how do I apply this? You know, because it all makes sense, but then it's like, how do I personalize this message for me to see growth from it? And so whether that's a dial team, even coming in to a work spot's office is so essential, man. Like I was down here yesterday, and the agent came out, and I didn't even know they were doing this. And it was the bell was on somebody's desk right here in the middle, and he's like, bing, bing, bing. And I was like, there it is. He's like, I got another appointment. And it was just that competitiveness, man. And I was like, oh, you let him smoke you. And he's like, yeah, he's just mad. He's ringing it more than he actually got, because I've been ringing that thing in his face all day. But like that's what it's about, man. It makes it fun. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like it makes it fun. And so what it does is allows you to like enjoy the process of booking the appointments that are necessary to get you to where you want to go. But also, I think what it does is, as a new person, or even a person that's been in the business, it's so easy to put people on a pedestal. Like I promise you, Zach, the moment I said Zach issued 100,000 in a week, they're like, oh my God, Zach must have this going on.
He must be so much better.
He's got the sales. Like if you look at Zach's DNA makeup, he's got a strand that says top produce. Like they're pedestaling you. You know what I mean? Because what that allows you to do is to like be like, well, I'm just not Zach, or I couldn't be that. And there couldn't be something further from the truth than that. But when you come in to a dial team, or you come into an office and you hear Zach get 4 no's in a row, and you hear him get beat up, so you hear that the same thing that you're dealing with, you're like, all of a sudden that removes the pedestal. Yep. And then what it allows you to do is see the success trait, which is not the fact that Zach gets 5 no's. It's the response to the 5 no's. So Zach doesn't get all emotional. He doesn't care. He's just like, it is what it is. They must have had a bad day. They must have not seen me in the right way. Let's grow. Let's get better. Let me call the next one. Who cares? They see that, and then that's what they can learn is their response. So they remove the pedestal, and they learn the response of the real reason of why you're getting the result that they're not, which is simple work ethic in response to the no's. And I think that's such a big deal, man. So I just wanted to highlight that, because if you're not in a dial team, if you're not at a work spots location, I promise you, like that there alone is everything. Like a lot of you made New Year's resolutions. Don't act like you didn't. And a lot of you went to the gym the first week of January. And what you realize is like, man, it's packed. It's a packed gym. Well, now we're in the last week of January. A lot of you are like, man, it's a lot less packed. There's not many people here. But the people that are still there are the ones, when you look over, they got a personal trainer. They're still there. Man, that guy's always there. He's got a personal trainer with him. It's accountability partner. The person that went had good intentions, had good reasons of why they needed to. They had a vision board, mission. They had all that stuff, but they didn't have the accountability. And when that morning they woke up and like, man, I just don't feel like it. They let the feeling get the best of them. They let the feeling dictate their footsteps, because they didn't have the accountability, realizing that, man, I don't want to let that person down. I don't want to lose self-respect. I don't want to be different than who I think I am and who I've told them I am by not showing up.
Exactly.
Big deal. What a big deal, man.
Easy to let
Love
yourself down, a lot harder to let someone else down.
I love it, dude. So anyways, keep moving, but that was such a great point, dude.
Of course, man. Another thing is tracking numbers. I think a new agent oftentimes comes in, and and I get these phone calls all the time. Hey, these leads just, they kind of seem to suck. Or, oh, this dial day, I've dialed all day. I've dialed so many. Like, it's always these big words that are like kind of exaggerate, right? And then when I really ask, okay, how many dials did you make? Oh, well, I don't really know. I think 70, right?
Good.
Okay. And how many answers did you get? Well, I actually don't really know. I think I got 5. Okay. How many did you book? I only booked 1. Well, dude, first off, if that's real, 70 dials is nothing. Go back to dialing. I'm not even going to waste my time, because at the end of the day, I'm just going to hurt you by trying to coach something that's not real work yet. I got to see more numbers than that to actually coach you. Right. But then if I really adjust to that and I'm like, hey, let's start tracking those numbers. And when you come to me, the difference between it is like an agent that's really wanting to make this thing work. They come to me and they're like, hey, I've made 263 dials. It's noon. And it looks like I've got 10 answers so far, and I booked 6, but those 4 I didn't book. What could I do better to learn and to adjust that to where I could book more of those? That's the kind of mentality that I promise you that's Wyatt. The people that I'm talking about that come in and actually make this thing happen, that's that personality type, the type that doesn't want to complain about an outside source. Because trust me, the ego complains about everything that's outside of yourself. But when you really analyze and you look, oftentimes it's always, what did I do that I can adjust to become better, right? And that's going to change the business for you. So you got to track your numbers. I can't stress that enough. Now, the other thing is a script. Now, I'm just going to role play through this one real quick with you. I'm going to make it fast for you, Paul. Again, I don't think copycatting like word for word. If you got a script and it's working, don't change it. You know what I mean? I'm not coming in to say change what you're doing, but this is what I like to say. Now, one thing that you'll notice, and I'm just showing this, I actually never book on a dial day without my script in front of me. And I've been doing this 2 years. Right? 3 years, actually, if you count like the other company that I also, my practice company and stuff, and I still sit in front of my script. So if you're a new agent and you come in and you're a month in and you're like, oh man, I think I got this now. I'm gonna start doing my own thing and reinvent the wheel. Trust me, it doesn't work. You don't need to do that. The system's already there. It's already working. Why do you have to change it? Right? So even me, myself, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the script that I look at every time I dial. Okay. So pulling this guy out, I'm going to go through this. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to is not my words. That's the funny part. I want you to pay attention to my tones. Okay. My tonality is actually how I'm booking the appointment. Okay. Now, hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, my name is Zach. I'm actually just getting back to you from the Mortgage Protection Department here in Salt Lake County. And I'm actually just getting back to you in regards to the form you had filled out and sent into my office for information on the mortgage, life, and disability protection. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Yeah. So just to authenticate the call, I've got your home loan at $160,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And I've got your date of birth as 10/20/1987. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, most families fill out this request just to make sure that if they die or become disabled, the payments are made. I'm assuming that was the idea for you, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Now, I'm actually the field underwriter that's been assigned to requests. And it's actually just my job to drop off the information. Now, this would be in-home, so I'm going to change it to actually virtual. It's just my job to actually go over the information with you to see which programs you actually qualify for. Now, this is a state-approved program, so there is no medical exam required or anything like that, and it only takes about 10 to 15 minutes of your time. Now, I've got a lot of families I'm actually going to be seeing in the next couple of days here, but I wanted to ask you, I'm assuming you're still working, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what type of shift is that?
It's
like 8 to
typically
4, 9 to 5?
9 to 5.
9 to 5 typically. Okay, perfect. And I see a spouse here too. It's Beth. What kind of shift is she working? Same thing?
Oh, yeah, she's in the door by 3.
In the door by 3. Perfect. Okay. So I'm actually going to be servicing 10 other families tomorrow. So super busy schedule, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to do you a favor. I'm going to squeeze you in tomorrow. I've got a couple time slots I can put you in. And this will be through Zoom. I know you guys have heard of Zoom before. And if not, no big deal. I send you a link. Now, tomorrow, it looks like I've got either a 5 p.m. Actually, that might be too early. Let's actually look a little bit farther. 5:30. I can squeeze you in at 5:30, or I can put you down for 7:30. Which one of those is going to work best for you?
5:30 is good.
5:30, perfect. Go ahead and grab a pencil. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Perfect. So go ahead and write this down. My name is Zach, Zack.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Awesome. Go ahead and put my phone number. It's 801-558-3662.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Awesome. So if you see a call from me to help you get onto the Zoom, that's the number. Okay. Now, lastly, just make sure you got it down for tomorrow, did you say 5:30? You said 5:30, right?
5:30. Yep.
Okay. Put it down for tomorrow between 5:30 and 6. I do give myself that half-hour window just because I am obviously servicing every family, and I want every family to have the time that they need from me. Okay. Does that make sense? Sound fair?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So just make sure you got that down. Make sure you let Beth know. And then I will plan on seeing you on Zoom tomorrow, which you'll get a link here in a second to invite you to. You'll also get a couple other email links as a notification to remind you. Okay. So I'll plan on seeing you then. Please do not miss me. We've got so many forms that are coming in. I actually cannot come back to people once I have an appointment set. So I'll see you then. Talk to you soon.
Perfect. I love it.
Boom. So you can see that it's like I tied you in multiple times, but I don't even want to talk really about what I'm saying. I want to talk more about my tonality, right? If you listen to the way I speak, it's a lot of new agents come in and they get stressed out and they're saying every statement almost like it's a question. Like, Paul, the difference would be like, hey, Paul, my name is Zach. I'm actually with the mortgage protection department. So I uptone on mortgage protection department, right? It's like, are you questioning where you're working? Like It's not a question, right? Don't make things sound like a question unless it's a real question. So I'm very like almost monotone, not too robotic sounding, but more monotone up until there's a question, then I uptone, right? So those are big key points that I don't think the script is really like the golden script. I just think that you have to focus almost more on the uptones and the downtones, and then the rest follows, right? Make sense?
Yeah, dude. And it seems like you're very matter of fact. Like you're professional. You're going out of your way to serve them and help them. Even at the end, you put in there really quick a level of urgency. And I always say if you have no shows, and that could be at their house, at their porch, knocking on the door, or it could be a no-show to get back on the phone and do a Zoom sale or what have you, that no-show is derived from a lack of value and urgency. And so if the client doesn't see the value in what they're getting ready to hop back on the Zoom with you the next day or what have you, they're not going to do it. Or if they don't see it as urgent, they'll put it off and they'll let anything come in the way to procrastinate that very appointment. And I think at the end, Zach, when you say, listen, we've got a ton of these coming in every single day. I know how important this is for you as it is for most families. The only thing I do ask and expect is that tomorrow at 5:30 that you're there on Zoom because we are that behind. I know this is that important for you. Is that fair enough? That's just creating more urgency. Like you can't just get me back on the phone. You can't just put me off. You can't just reschedule. You want to make it feel like if they miss this, they missed a shot at protecting their family.
And fear of loss. Exactly. Yeah. I do a takeaway at the end, that fear of loss. I'm like not your guy moving forward if you can't make it. You know what I mean? I'm here this one time to make sure your family's taken care of. And this is obviously important to you. I'm very assumptive, right? Exactly. I'm the guy that's going to get the job done.
Do you think that that a lot of agents trying to save and not lose a possible sell or appointment, and so they kind of like are subservient. They're like, they're not as matter of fact. They're not as like all in, like, hey, if you're not here, then we're not doing this thing. Do you think them not trying to lose that one from being so direct, bold, and show so much that they actually lose a lot more because their posture, the way they hold themselves, their tonality is affecting all the other ones that they're booking?
100%. 100%. That's crucial. Now, one thing I actually want to add that I think a new agent, what I've found is if you can put a mirror in front of yourself and you can watch what you look like as you're booking, that'll say a lot about how people are reading you through the phone. Okay. So put a mirror in front of you if you're new. And if you see that you're slouching, if you see that you're kind of like head down like this, right? If you see that you're almost not there, you're going to notice that your results will reflect exactly that, right? So if you want to get paid like a professional, we got to act like one, right? So what I mean by that is in that mirror, you got to be the professional. The chest is straight, right? Your back's straight. Your posture is good. You're on the phone. You're loud and clear. I am really loud. Now, coming to the Salt Lake office, we've got more and more people coming in. We're trying to make it super loud because I love when it's loud because everyone is just trying to be loud. And a lot of people don't look at that, but we look at like, for example, and this is, just a movie reference, but we look at Wolf of Wall Street, just to throw it out there. Everyone's really loud, right? Everyone's really excited. Now, I'm not saying any of the other stuff is good, but what I'm saying is everyone's excited to be there. Everyone's excited to talk to people. That's the mentality you have to have when you're talking to people on these phones. So seriously, come into this office, come into Paul's office, whatever office is close by, go. And trust me, put a mirror in front of yourself and you'll see exactly why you're not booking appointments.
I love
or
that.
Or if you are, you'll see why.
Well, I think people want to deal with confident people, man. And if you look at that mirror, that video, and the question I think to ask yourself is, do I look like a confident person? And then if you don't, man, like people don't want to get back on the phone. They don't want you to come over. They don't want to do business with you because they want a confident individual that's leading, guiding, and directing them. No different than if I have a doctor taking care of my daughter. I want to make sure that they're confident in what they're saying, even if it's wrong. As long as they're confident, my confidence comes from their confidence. And so I think that's so important to just take a look and say, do I portray a confident individual? And that's not derived from experience. That's just derived from your mindset, how you hold yourself, and the way you see it. And you should see that I got the license, they don't. I'm the professional, and I got a posse. I got a tribe of people that are so great at this that are going to show me the way forward that I can plug into, get feedback, that I can be confident because of my team. I've got a team that's the best in the nation. And so I think that's essential, man. So,
and Paul, you bring up a great point. Everyone wants to be told what to do. I get, the agent here and there. Well, I just don't want to be pushy. It's not pushy. It's just being assertive, right? Like have some respect for yourself. Have some respect that obviously they filled out the form. It's your job to get it out to them. Right. All you got to do is show up. But if you're showing up and taking their word, now all of a sudden you lost control. Now they feel like they're the ones who probably know more than you do, right? So even just like you said, it's almost like fake it till you make it. If you're new, act like you do know everything, right? Now, I'm not saying lie, but what I'm saying is the way your tonality, the way you present yourself it will portray to that client that you know what you're talking about. And if you don't, watch, you're going to get tested. They'll test you with certain little things, like stuff that I hear new agents like get a client that said such and such like to them and they were confused and lost on what to say. I'm like, dude, I've never gotten that question. What did you do to actually provoke that kind of question? That's really what it is. It's not that they're going to ask you that every time, because then a new agent gets hooked on like, well, now I have to know how to respond to that. No, it's actually that you shouldn't have ever been asked that question, but something in your tonality, something in the way you presented brought up that question as a test. And they wanted to know that you can overcome it and be powerful to the punch to put yourself back into control. People want to know that you're going to take control when they're the ones who ask for it. Make sense?
Yeah, Zach, real quick, I look back to my first day in the field. I was 19 years old, right? I just got my license. Mm-hmm. And my confidence came from the fact that I had somebody on the other line that I could call that was the best in the insurance industry. That was right. And every one of you on here, you have that access point to somebody like that. And so that's where my confidence came from. And I remember being so confident, but the problem was I looked so young. I looked like I was 9, Mm-hmm. And I remember the person, because I was holding myself with confidence. And when they would ask me a question, I'd say, that's a great question. and I'm about 99% sure of the answer, but I don't want to leave any question of doubt. Do you mind if I call and just make sure I'm 100% of the answer I'm giving you? I got a good relationship with one of the guys that oversees the entire company. And I think I might be able to just verify that real quick. And what that did is it built trust. Because for one, I didn't say, I have no idea, I'm an idiot, I'm brand new. I said, I'm probably 99% sure, but I don't want to leave any. And what that made them realize is that, man, he's not going to leave any room for doubt. Like if he ain't positive about something, even if he's 99% sure, he's going to get validation from someone that's even at a different level than he's at. And that built such a great connection and trust with those clients. And I remember having a client say, man, how long have you been doing this for? And I said, I don't know, like 6 hours. This is my second appointment. No kidding. and he said 6 hours. I said, man, try standing in your head for 6 hours. It's all relative, bro. And he started laughing. And I said, well, man, I get you the answer. That's for sure. And I helped the client out because it was, for one, it was a stupid question. Like who cares how long? But that's how you got to have your confidence. Man, I didn't know nothing about nothing. This was pre-boot camp, Zach. This is pre-scripts. This was like, hey, go out and tell them these are the options. Make it. It was pre all of that. I got my license on Monday. This was Tuesday. Me sending clients' houses. It ain't that big of a deal. Stop making it a big deal. So anyways, man, I think that's such a big point though. I'm loving every bit of this, bro. Of
course, man. Next thing I want to talk about is some strategy for the field. If you're doing hybrid sales, guys, this is where I'm talking about. I'm just going to be honest. I really don't think we have to overcomplicate things. I can't tell you how many Zoom calls I've done in my car and sold them big policies. I don't think you need to have this perfect podcast studio. I don't think you need it to be perfect. You just have to trust me. You make something a problem, it becomes a problem, right? So for me, it's like they see I'm busy. I take advantage of that. I'm like, yeah, as you can see, I'm running from house to house. I am crazy busy right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just take care of this in the car. And then I just move on, roll on, right? I'm not focused on the little things like that. Like really what's behind me, that doesn't matter, right? Obviously I'm not going to sit in front of my bed, but like, I'm just saying, don't worry. If you got to do it in your car, do it in your car, right? Now, big thing is in the field, there's some strategies I think that are really important, and that is 10 by 1. Now, I teach my agents this all the time. 10 by 1 is something we all do here. Okay. Now, 10 by 1 means if someone no-shows you and you've got no other appointment for the next hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is, you're doing 10 by 1. That means 10 dials, 1 drop by, 10 dials, 1 drop by, 10 dials, 1 drop by. That doesn't mean 10 dials as in you called 10 times. It means 10 different families. You triple dialed each. So that's really 30 dials. And then you do 1 drop by because you're going to get more results, mass results from dialing, but I still want you to drop by the leads too, because drop bys still will bring results as well. And with drop bys, the people make the mistake on, oh, it's to set an appointment. No, it's not. You're already at the door. You're already there. You're not driving back. Have some respect for yourself. Again, like Sean says this all the time, right? You're already there. Just get it done. Beth's home, right? Oh, perfect. I actually see a kitchen table. Do you mind about shoes? I just start wiping my feet, leaning on in, right? Like it's assumptive. It's assumptive. I'm already here, right? I'm the manager in the area. Whatever you got to say to just show that you're confident, you're here for them because they asked you to be there, not the other way around, right? Now, always show up. Something I get questions with agents. I got this cancellation. I called them and tried to, get them to stick to the appointment, or I got this cancellation. They texted me that they're going to be sick, or they didn't get off work early enough, whatever it is. I always show up. I don't care what the excuse is. I'm always showing up because first off, Paul, if you were my doctor and I ever set an appointment with you, I would never cancel the same day on you. Like it's disrespect, right? I'm not going to cancel on the same day. I'm going to have some respect for you for being the person I asked for help from, right? So I'm going to show up, right? So that's what I make the client do. So I'm going to show up. And if they bring up, oh, hey, I texted you, and they kind of act like maybe they're even a little frustrated, I'll be right back. I'll mirror match them, right? I'm not going to be rude and be extra. I'm just going to say, hey, John, totally understand you text me. I actually don't even see here that you texted me. I don't know when you did that, but what I do know is that I'm driving from house to house. Like I told you yesterday, I got 10 families. Every hour I've got someone to talk to. And, me checking my phone while I'm driving, I'm not going to put myself at risk like that. So I put it on to something, right? Now I'm already here though. I just drove 50 minutes to get here. If you don't mind, I see a kitchen table. You don't mind if we sit there, right? You mind about shoes? Start looking down. I start wiping my feet. They let me in every time, right? But it's all about just being assumptive and knowing that you're the one doing the service. I think new agents, they get caught up on like, no, well, I'm there to sell them. No, you're not. They asked you to be there. Show up like it. You know what I mean? That's really it. Now, is that good for the field stuff? I'm going to move on to the next section.
Absolutely, man. And I know we've got about a minute or two. And as we're getting ready to wrap up, man, I just want to let everybody know that this is the stuff. Like, I love, Zach, how you kind of laid the foundation of the points that matter most. Because a lot of times the objection handling, stuff like that, it does help. But if all these other things ain't right, it's basically like you're building the business without a foundation. And when something comes, whether that's wave of chargeback, setbacks, doubt, whatever it is, mindset stuff, it'll crumble. But if you have that set up, you'll be able to succeed amidst not having the right word track, stuff like that. And then as you get those, well, now you're going to add a couple stories to what you built, but it's built the right way as well. And so I think it's such a big deal, man. And so I just want to remind everybody that you can continue to look at FL Virtual Sales for objection and all these other things too, pertinent to the telesales and virtual sales, because there's so much there as well. Be, like Zach said in the beginning, a student of the business. And so, but Zach, if you can, one more thing as you wrap up, but this is so good.
I want to do one thing with the in-home just to help people out on in-home. Again, I'm not about scripts. I'm not about, you have to say this perfect thing over and over and over. Like, because to me, I've done that, been there, done that. And sometimes if you go off, it'll make the whole thing mess up because your brain just is like, whoa, we're off script. And that's all you can think about. And now you can't come back from it, right? So I want you to actually go into this and understand bullet points. Bullet points are the easiest way to kind of pull in your own personality, but know what you need to be hitting, right? Now, when it comes to a telesell, Paul, let's say we're doing this over the phone. Paul calls in for insurance, right? Basically, if he were to call in, Paul's looking for insurance, I get a transfer, right? Do you want me to go over a transfer or like a Zoom appointment? Which one is better?
Let's do the transfer. Okay. Like a telesell.
Okay, so if it's a telesell transfer, right? Basically, Paul is going to obviously he's on the line. It gets transferred to me from some person that was in the customer service, like on the floor, transferring the call. Now, Paul's right there. I'm like, hey, Paul, how's your day going so far?
It's going good, man.
Good, man. Awesome. So obviously, I know you're calling in for insurance, life insurance. Is that right?
Yep.
So I ask questions I already know the answer to. So yes, perfect. Okay, great. So now with that, I'm actually the licensed professional. Now, before I get started, I do want to make sure, can you confirm your date of birth for me?
Yeah, it's a 12/4/87.
Okay, perfect. Now, awesome. That's what I've got here as well. Now, what I do want to mention real fast, I sent you a couple text messages while we were kind of briefly getting started here. You've got my license number. You've got everything that's obviously locates back to me. I want you to have that because anytime you're dealing with insurance, I know it's not your first time. There's personal information involved. I just want to make sure you have that on file before we get started. Now, with that being said, since I am the field underwriter, I'm the local rep that's actually been assigned to your request. Now, with this request for life insurance, I just want to mention, so I've got multiple companies. I'm basically a broker. Here's your key point number one. I'm a field underwriter. I go around from house to house, but now we're doing a lot of this over the phone. So now you make it like everyone's doing it over the phone, Jones effect, right? So most people are doing it over the phone. So that's what we're doing now. Now, with that being said, your next point is going to be, I'm a broker. I've got multiple companies that I work with, and I'm going to find out of those companies, which one's going to be the best fit for you based off the health, age, habits, things like that. Does that make sense, Paul?
Yep.
Awesome. Now, lastly, I'm just going to basically once we find out, as long as it hits the price, hits the budget, we're going to make sure that we submit an application because I know how important this request for life insurance is to you. We're going to submit an application. That way we can make sure we actually get you approved because honestly, Paul, we don't know without the approval from the company. We're not insuring them, they're insuring you, right? So we got to find out if you're actually going to be approved. And then from there, that's when that first premium will be drafted, coverage will go in effect. But then that means you don't have to worry about insurance anymore. Sound fair?
Yep.
Awesome. Boom. You already know it's a sell. 2 minutes in, I already know it's a sell. I'm moving forward. Go through the financial inventory, go through the points. It's all basic stuff, right? You all have the financial inventories. If you're not using it, you need to be using it. Go through the simple questions. Find out, hey, maybe they have 401k set aside. What do you have that's going to act like life insurance? Golden questions, right? Find that stuff out too. Annuities are happening. My annuity from last week was from a Zoom cell. Like anyone that says you can't do this over the line, yes, you can, right? They were in the state, of course, because you got to be in the state, but that was still over Zoom, right? So I was able to basically help them out, make sure that we got them that coverage that they needed, plus help them in other ways as well. Now, from that point forward, then I just go into the close. I show 3 options. From those 3 options, I'm like, great. So Paul, like I said, I got to make sure my job today, we're going to get something into effect, but my job moving forward is that it stays in effect, right? If it doesn't stay in effect, I'm not doing my job right, because then your family's not protected. And then what was the point of this today, right? So I'm almost like relaxed in my tonality. I'm the professional. I'm here to get it done. He feels like I'm confident in what I'm saying. And then I'm like, okay, so real quick, just to make sure we're in the right area here. I've got 3 options for you. I've got this one. It looks like, let's say this was for, term life. Let's say it looks like I've got 150,000. Now we talked about your income. That's looking at income replacement. We're looking at your mortgage, right? So all of it's going to be covered from this policy. That's going to be $150 a month. Now this also has CBO, which means you get all the money back, which is pretty sweet. It's actually the one I have on myself. The way I look at it, savings account, right? Something happens, pays out, nothing happens, you get your money back. Sound fair?
Yeah.
Awesome. So 3 options. I've got 150K, $200 a month, 100K, 150 a month, 50K, let's say, well, what was I at? 100 a month. Which one of those is going to be best fit for you? He tells me one. Which one, Paul?
The first option.
First option. Awesome. So I agree with you there. That's what most people are doing. Now with that, I'm going to go ahead and put the application in. I fill out the application real fast. They already know that I'm dealing with their information, but they also have my information, right? So now it's like a give-get thing to where, John, don't be awkward. I gave you my information too. Like this is normal, right? You knew insurance involves this stuff. We talked about this at the beginning, right? So now it's like, Paul, you can't fight me on that because you already knew that coming into it. Make sense? So then from there, we close it up, and I just want to make sure the biggest thing, you don't want to let your retention drop, right? So my retention is 92%. The other thing I want to talk about real quick was showing the numbers I forgot to touch on. Guys, I was in a cable store selling cable. They would give me their social security account, social security number, their account information, and their driver's license, all in the middle of a store in Walmart while everyone else is walking by. They didn't ever ask me once, is this safe, right? So you have to understand, if you're getting hit with those questions, it's something that you're doing. They don't trust you, right? But the fact that people would do that with me within 10 minutes of me knowing them, that's how fast that transaction would work in Walmart or Target or whatever, right? Their whole family's there, 10 minutes. I go through all that and put them into a 2-year contract, and they get credit checked. We don't do any of that here. And then by the end, they're asking me, okay, just to make sure that comes with sports channels, right? It's like, yeah, John, that comes with sports channels. You're spending $300 a month. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not even something that's helping their family, right? So of course, that's why I got out of it personally. Like I just felt like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of money for something that I don't even have. Like, why would I, you know what I mean? I just kind of feel bad to be putting people into this that really, I also don't support the whole sit on the couch, watch TV all day, right? But that's what they're buying. It's tangible. So what do you got to do? You got to make this more important than that, because at the end of the day, guys, value oversells price every time. So if you aren't showing value, if you notice with Paul, I wasn't just like, this is 150K, it's $200 a month. It'd probably be harder to get Paul to commit to $200 a month, just me saying 150K. In fact, Paul might say, actually, I saw it last night. It's 200,000 and I can get 200,000 for that same price. Now I'm fighting with a quote battle, right? I'm not trying to get that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to avoid it by providing value. And I attached it to, hey, we talked about your income. That's going to be income protection. We talked about your mortgage. That's 100,000. That's also going to cover your loan. That's $200 a month. Hey, The coolest part, Paul, you get your money back, right? That's why I have this too. Move on, right? So I'm showing value. I'm showing value. I'm showing value. I'm tying him down. I'm tying him down. Now he trusts me. He doesn't care about what he's seen because he knows it's just on TV, right? Then I want to cement it though, which means I got to tie it down to the point where he feels like I'm his guy. No matter what, I'm here for him. I'm not going anywhere. Call me when you need me. And you know what? It works every time as long as I just say, hey, Paul, how does it feel to get this done? Feel good?
Absolutely.
Now he's making it tangible. I want him to feel it, not just how you think it gets, how do you think it feels? Or, what do you think of getting this done? Like, I don't want questions like that, right? How does it feel to get it done? Now he's making it an intangible item, a tangible item. That's what I'm trying to do, right? Then I'm like, okay, great. That's how most people feel. Now, with that being said, just want to make sure you understand that I'm your guy moving forward. You need anything, I'm obviously going to be here for you. You call me, I go to bat. One thing I can promise you, Paul, is I outwork every single person in this industry. And I mean that. I've got appointments for the rest of tonight and I'm not done till 10 p.m. That's late, right? He's like, yeah, that's late, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do that every day, 6 days a week. Okay. So obviously I'm going to be here for you. You need me, you call me. Please do not feel like I'm too busy for you. I'm obviously here for you. If I miss you, I'll get back to you. But what I will say is that this coverage is in place. And I want to make sure that moving forward, that if something happens to you, your family knows the person that they need to call. That way, obviously they've got my number. Everyone feels confident in me. And I want you to feel like, moving forward, I'm going to be the guy that does the paperwork and gets your family taken care of. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, man. This is so good, dude. Like, I mean, I could talk to you, Zach, about this for like 3-4 hours. I almost want to have you come in for a sales conference that we can put out there when it's just, in fact, we're going to do this. Family First Life is now having boot camps where if you're not writing $40,000 a month, we're going to give you the complete roadmap. And I think, dude, we've got a big part of the roadmap that's been talked about today, man. I've enjoyed this so much, the blocking and tackling of what we're doing, but also, Zach, you did such a good job and not just articulating like what you do, but you also pulled in why you're doing what you're doing throughout each part of the process to really kind of give us an understanding, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. How you say it's derived from why you say it. And I think this stuff's been so good today, man. And I hate to wrap it up, but I know we gotta get going, and I'm definitely gonna have you on again, because to me, it was that good. I don't want to disparage anybody from the prior weeks, but man, this was really, really good. And so guys, if you could like this, subscribe, share it. I do believe that everybody by nature wants to help. They want to serve. They want to make a difference. They want to be a meaningful, specific to others. A simple share could do that today for somebody that needs to hear this, that really needs to have the mindset right. And they want to have some adjustments and course corrections to what they're already doing in the business and maybe step into virtual sales and telesales. And so guys, make sure to share this, subscribe, comment. We'll have your name in the running for lead money that we do every single week. And so Zach, dude, thank you so much for joining, man. This was first class. Man. So good.
FFL Awakening and I are here to help, man. That's our team. That's what we stand for. So
your example is helping more than you know every week. So guys, make it a massive week. Be strong, stay steadfast, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? It is time once again to give away $250 in lead credit. If you commented on this week's video, which is playing right here, featuring Sean Mike, President and CEO of FFL, you're automatically entered to win $250 in lead credit. So you know what that means. You better, if you didn't comment on this one, you better comment on the video that you're currently watching right now before I even give any of these leads away, because it is such a big deal, especially coming out of National Convention. We all know the importance of leads and how it can make a difference in your life and in the families that you serve lives as well. So leave a comment. Just do it. Without further ado, let's see who won this week. Zarin Morieri. That is what I need. Respect myself. Thanks. Zorin, have some respect for yourself. And especially since you just won free leads. So have some respect for yourself, resolve those leads, get in contact with Victoria. Her phone number is going to be right down here. Get those leads, have some respect for yourself, and resolve those and help some families. Guys, it is that simple. Leave a comment and you can win $250 in free leads. We'll see you next week. Take care.